Shame me for being late.
You're late.
I was late.
I'm never that late. I'm always late, but I'm never that late.
I was late.
I have shit to do. I'm very busy.
I'm sorry.
I'm a very busy person.
Sorry.
You were shocked. I was here waiting
Yeah,
for you.
when you were there waiting for me, I was like, oh, I up. I said, oh, no, I'm in trouble.
That's what David would call, like, it's that one time,
Yeah.
right? It's that one time. It's the one time where you're like, oh, he won't be there on time.
Yeah.
And I'm all, I'm waiting. Like, ah, shit.
That's how you know you made the mistake. I was like, oh, no, I'm in trouble.
I'm sitting here waiting.
And then, like I told you on the way here, this cop pulled me over, and I was like, man, I wasn't speeding, was I? And he told me about my headlight. So thank you to that cop who didn't give me a fix-it ticket because he was very nice on this Sunday morning.
My God, I'm a little tired, too. I mean, I partied with the Straights yesterday.
Oh, how was that?
Next week.
Oh.
We'll talk about next week.
Already giving teasers for that,
Already giving teasers, but that'll be a good one. Because, this month is, wait a minute, we should probably start the show before we get into it. Hey, everybody, welcome to Do It Like Danny, June Pride Gay Edition. I'm going to tell a million stories, and maybe one will hit home, and you'll be like, wow, that happened to me. And it's not about me. What is? Television is a very, very crazy beast. I learned so much at Tyra. This is real emotion. This is something that I experienced.
I want the world to see what I have always seen, and that is the love that you have for just being yourself.
I love this person who knows who he is, who can make people laugh.
I think the script I gave you was a little bit different, but I'll take that.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm drinking at work because it's my show. I drink on my show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Do It Like Danny, June Gay Pride Edition. Whether you are, whether you're not, yeah, well, that remains to be seen. So, it's June. Everybody's celebrating their pride, and I wore a nice little pink shirt so I could be super gay today. What else? What are the crazy things? Okay, so June is Pride Month.
Yes.
There's been a lot of, people that have been complaining.
Already?
Yeah, already. It's fun. It's already June 1st, and people are like...
right at midnight when it strikes down.
They got all of their little feathers are ruffled. But we have lots to talk about. First and foremost, I know that I promised you that we'd be bringing back Angelo, but we fired him. So that's all I got to say about that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Poor Angelo.
Yeah, Cousin Angelo will be coming back hopefully in the next couple of weeks. He's been super busy, and so we want to applaud him in his busyness because she's so busy.
So funny.
Meanwhile, I got home at 4:30 in the morning, and I'm still here. But
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah. You beat me.
She's puffy, but she's here. All right.
Wait, before we start, am I recording right?
What do you mean?
Am I recording?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. Sometimes I get nervous. Like, is everything on?
So, speaking of, Cousin Angelo and gay things. So, gay pride. Everyone always says, when is gay pride? When is gay pride? It's interesting. It's changed over the years for me. In the beginning, it was very I was screaming in the streets, running around.
Really?
Not so much anymore. Yeah, not so much anymore. I know. Can you believe I used to scream back in the
Are you
day?
less prideful?
Not less prideful. I just think it's different now for me. Like, I guess now, I understand the importance of it and what's behind it, and how, even to this day, people are still getting killed for being gay. Like, hi, Palestine, people are sending their money and supporting a country that kills us. So, I'm kind of torn between that because, well, although killing people obviously is
not
good.
Never good.
At the end of the day, it's like I can't really honestly support countries that, and there's tons of countries that still, it's illegal. They'll behead you. They will cane you. They will throw you in jail. There's all sorts of different things. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I know some people would obviously would beg to differ with me. Not beg, but they would definitely differ with me.
They'd argue with you for sure.
They'd argue with me for sure. And that's okay. Listen, that's the whole point of this. And everyone has their own POV.
But how did it all come about? Like, when did it start?
So back in 1969, in my most favorite ever city ever in all of America, New York City, there was a bar by the name of Stonewall, the Stonewall Inn.
Oh, okay.
And so it's very popular. It's still there today. If you would like to go visit it, you can when you're in New York City. And there's a lot of people that go there and they have a few drinks. And there is, historical facts that are placed all over. So in 1969, on June 28th, which is why I think Pride is in June to begin with. The NYPD descended upon the Stonewall Inn because back in the day, obviously, you could not be gay.
Yeah.
Shocker, right? Yeah. And they staged a raid. Well, while they were staging that raid, the patrons of the bar ended up fighting back because they were tired of it. And well, although this wasn't the first time that the gays kind of like risen up and like fought,
build up.
it was the most probably significant only because it lasted. So there's different accounts. Some say 4 days, some say it was like 5 days, and then they had meetings after.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to just say, for lack of, maybe Dana can fact check us, from 5 to 7 days is pretty much is how long it lasted. I tried to research to see if like anybody had gotten hurt. It didn't look like they had, but they arrested obviously some people. So that was like the beginning of, the gays fighting back, if you will. Actual true protest in your own country, protest in your own, state, city. And it actually helped you because you were protesting your country. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, by the way, I forgot, like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe.
That's fun.
So as I said before, they lasted about a week. And of course, obviously, this forever changed the landscape of gaydom. Or no, just kidding. Of being gay in general, And so then a year later, obviously, in order to celebrate the fact that they had, risen up and that they had gone against the police and they had won, it began to change some of the laws. And a year later, they had their first Pride Parade.
Oh, wow.
And, although Pride is generally like centered in June, it kind of celebrated all over the world in different, months. But for the most part, the majority of the celebrations always lie in June.
Okay.
And that's why it's in, Pride Month is June because of that.
I got a question. When did Harvey Milk become like a figure in the gay community?
So Harvey Milk, I think, was in the 70s. Well, I haven't done much research about him. Harvey Milk was more of a local politician here in San Francisco.
San Francisco, yeah.
So he rose up through the ranks and changed laws also too. He was a huge political figure, obviously, in the landscape of, just being gay in general. And some of that changed the landscape, so to speak.
He was murdered too, yes? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. We'll have to look into that because I don't
Okay.
want to say. I want to say that he was.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I want to say that he was. Yeah. So although Pride is celebrated even today, like this weekend, it's like Santa Monica Gay Pride, and I drove through there last night, and it's wild. It's like, oh God, I don't know if because I'm old now, or there's other things in my life that are more significant than running out in a jockstrap in the middle of the street.
Now, is the jockstrap like significant into the gay community, or is it just like a kind of like a shock factor? Because I know like drag queens started during the punk era. Thing. I love that.
Dirty RuPaul.
Yeah, I love that.
her.
But I don't know, like, is there a significance with the jockstrap, or again, is it just for shock value?
No, I just think everyone wants to wear their chonies out in the fucking streets.
Is it because they've had to hide so much, so now it's like they get 1 month, one time a year where they can just do whatever they want, kind of thing?
No, because you know what? I think that like for the most part, the gays always kind of run around naked. Sorry for my general,
Is that including you?
Yeah, Palm Springs. Like, there's always like a clothing optional resort within a stone's throw, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I wish, it's like I said, for me growing up through the years of coming to the realization of what the fuck was I? Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was. I didn't know why I had this affinity towards other, men. I didn't know why that was happening to me. And then to come out, I got my first boyfriend, and I was like, oh, okay, this is actually kind of fun. And then over the years, I will say this. So, it's funny that you talk about like all of these gays running out in their jock straps, and I know I mentioned it also too. I've never been a PDA person.
What's a PDA?
So like the public display of affection.
Okay.
And so I think I could be considered old. Because I don't know, like I've always just really felt uncomfortable, like shoving it in people's face. But with that being said, I'm also very uncomfortable when straight people are PDAing. And like I've met younger gays who are like, who cares? We should celebrate being gay. We should hold hands and kiss in public. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you are putting a target on your back. I feel like when you taunt people, and that's taunting people. I mean,
like I kind of understand maybe the kissing, sure, but even the holding hands.
I don't know. I just feel I don't know. And like I said, maybe I'm, I kind of I don't say firmly believe, but I feel like those kinds of things really should be kept in your bedroom. Yes, it's great to be gay, but it's still not accepted everywhere.
Is that so? You're saying and I'm not speaking for you or anything, and I'm not trying to like shame you at all, but you're basically saying that for your sake, it just seems easier to not hide it, but just keep it low key because you don't want to possibly deal with public repercussions of somebody trying to shame you. Because that's a lot of stress anyways. Why not just keep it cool, keep it chill? You know you're gay. The person you're with, they know you're gay. Why does everybody need to know and go about that? I kind of understand that.
So it's interesting that you use the word shame. So I think that in this day and age, it's just so easy. Oh, you're going to slut shame me. You're going to this shame me. You're going to alcohol shame me. Everything. And I don't think it's about that. I think when it comes to you doing that, I don't think it's people shaming you, because shaming you would be like, shame, shame, shame. And they'd run around and ring the bell like Game of Thrones. But, in this instance, I would say it's to protect my life.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've been in multiple circumstances where, we've been out and even as a group of gay people. When I was in Palm Springs one time, we were all at Denny's and we were just sitting there. We had just come in from the club and it was a very popular Denny's. It was very busy and it was filled with gay and lesbian whatever, plus the community. It was filled with community members. And there were only 6 of them. But those 6 Marines scared the shit out of everybody inside that Denny's. And I knew something was going to go down. You just know,
you can
right?
See it,
you just feel it. And I told my one friend who to this day, one day we'll have Ursula on, and she's in transition, and she said to me, she said, "What are you talking about?" Because they weren't paying attention, because
they were enjoying
like,
it.
We're gay, we're this, and everybody was there at Denny's, right? But I knew better. I've always had that weird like ability to like know when something is about to go down. You just, like David has said before, I'm just in that moment. I will come around the corner and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a crazy thing. And like I said, maybe I got that from my mom.
Yeah.
I don't know who I got that from. But
Might have got that from Grandma. Grandma was pretty good with that stuff,
yeah,
too.
Grandma was definitely Obama.
She was definitely aware.
Yeah.
Very, very much aware.
I'm very much aware. So we're all there inside the Denny's. Like, we had a great night. It was like 2:30 in the morning. Everyone's like eating moons over my hammy. Like, how? What? You're not hurting anybody. You're just there. You're having your dirty breakfast sandwich. And and you're just having a good time. But there were 6 of them, and so in Palm Springs there is
military base.
Yeah, what's the military base up there?
I don't know
not
that
Yucca,
one,
not Yucky Mountain.
Yucky.
But there it's the shit. Is it Palm? It's up there.
I'll fix it in post.
Yeah, fix it. There's a place out there that has it. Anyway, so long story short, so we're in the Denny's and we're all sitting there and we're all sitting in a booth, right? And I already knew something was going to go down. So of course I couldn't enjoy myself because I was waiting for that twig to snap.
Yeah.
And they were looking for something, and you could see they were huddled. They were all talking smack about all the gays, but meanwhile, all the gays were just being themselves. They were screaming. They were, it was like high-pitched insanity, right? It was high-pitched insanity because everybody had just come from the club. Again, they were all eating their moons over my hammy with their hash browns. We weren't bothering anybody. We were just eating and having a good time. But they wanted to start some shit. So sure enough, they were talking smack, and then one of the queens screamed, not at our table, but at a different table, and then they mimicked. So then I said, oh, God, a part of me wanted to leave, but then I thought, well, technically, we're in a public place. We should be safe, right? And there's more of us than there are of them.
Yeah.
But, the queens, they, the minute those guys started their shit, so the manager asked them to leave, right? So when they left, I saw one of them take his burrito with him. He palmed it. He had his fucking burrito, and then he came up to our window and he wrote "fag"
Wow.
on the glass with his burrito, right?
Yeah.
And so the manager's like, I'm so sorry, you know, and it's like, it's not her fault. And of course, you call the cops, but
What are they going to do?
they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
They're not going to do
They
anything.
haven't assaulted you, so they
And
can't do anything.
This was also too, like, I think they had cameras that were in the dining room, but this is way before, like, cell phone cameras. Like, I'm sure if that had happened, you know, currently today, in this day, people would have pulled their cameras out. There would have been, you would have caught the guys.
Yeah.
But of course, they were in a truck. And they took off, and they were all Marines. They were all Marines because they were very happy to announce they were Marines. Which, by the way, I think on a side note, there's a lot of fucking gay Marines.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's neither here nor there.
I think what's interesting about that story is I use the word shame, but you think about it differently. Like
Yeah.
my mind never went to that.
Yeah.
Like, why would you be in trouble?
Because-
but you're right. And
Yeah.
I didn't. That's where I think the disconnect is between straights and gays, especially people that are so far like against it that they don't really understand that your life is in jeopardy more so than just the average day person that might get mugged because you are
listen,
a
I would
target.
also equate it to if you were a black man
Yeah.
and there's racism and you're mainly in you know, Caucasian land, if you will. And so everybody has their own different things that they're afraid of
Yeah.
and they're fearful of, right? Except for white people, the
Yeah.
colonizers. No, just kidding.
That was an interesting point,
you
though.
should be afraid. You know, so I don't want to say that it's only gay people that suffer that because I think people that have a different religion viewpoint or a different, obviously, skin color, like there's different things that can, you know, give you that feeling of, oh shit, it's not about shame. It's about, we're about to get killed.
Yeah.
That there's violence attached to it. And that's what always scares me because I feel like, you know, I see movie theaters and the gays are kissing and then you'll hear people say, oh, fags, or they make some sort of derogatory comment.
Yeah.
You know, and here, you know, the gays they're like, oh my God, we're, you know, LGBTQ plus I, LMNOP. And I think that sends a message that we're not organized because we can't even decide on what to call our
yourselves.
community.
Yeah. That's
right?
a good point. Yeah.
And I think that throws, you know, in your foundation, it puts a crack.
Yeah.
So it gives everybody else the opportunity that doesn't believe in that, right? The opportunity to kind of get in there and start to make fun and break apart the system.
But see, that wasn't started by you guys. That was actually, I would say, pretty current, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's always existed.
Oh, okay.
Whereas before, I think, to be honest, it was always in the closet, like not to make a super joke. And I know people are like, oh, come out. But sometimes you don't want to come out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to come out. And I would see, even I'll equate this to being in television, you know, being in TV, I think it's also still frowned upon that you're gay. Because the ones that are gay, that are in the closet, and they, oh, no, I'm not gay. But you're like, I see you at the club. I see you, you know, right? Their careers generally move up faster than those who are actually out.
Interesting.
And those that are out are usually, I wouldn't say made fun of, but there's definitely like an air of,
he's gay. He's gay.
He's
like,
gay. He's
yeah,
gay.
don't-
Gay.
Yeah.
They're forcing it in our face.
Got
They're
it.
forcing our face because, like I said, well, although we think that we've come so far, we really haven't.
Is that because you? I would assume Hollywood likes their secrets, so they want to keep everything secret. So if you come out, it's like we like our secrets. We don't want you in our club, kind of thing.
I don't know. I wish I could. I don't even think it's a club thing. I just think it's a generalization that, oh, you know, gays are, you know, considered to be in the category of women. So they're highly emotional. They're not going to be able to make big decisions. They're not going to be the same reason why they say a female can never be president because, you know, they're going to suffer from menstrual issues and psychological issues. And it's like everybody suffers from that. Okay, maybe not menstrual, but I'm just saying in general, like, people begin to make these general accusations,
Like
or
all
these,
gays are queens.
Yeah,
And that's
all
not
gays
the
are
case,
queens, and
yeah.
that's not the case.
Yeah.
A lot of them are still in the closet.
Yeah.
So, I think the biggest thing for me, though, like, and this is the biggest thing for me is the different folks or being able to put a line through ally. When people say, I'm an ally, right? I'm an ally. So for me, ally should be a verb. It should not be an adjective, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't know what that means, let me tell you a great story. Perfect example. So I was doing my little scuba service, and I went to go pick up a ride in Silver Lake. So apparently, unknowns to me, lately I've been driving a lot in Silver Lake, and there are a lot of gays out there. Like, I didn't realize there were so many. I mean, because it kind of changed. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, there were tons of gays in Silver Lake. There were bars. It was fun. It was great. And then once the gays gentrified it and made it beautiful and fantastic, then they kind of got pushed out by all of the straights. And the straights, with their strollers, they began to breed and make more of us. And, because that's who you really should blame. You should blame the straight people because they made us. And so I was in Silver Lake, and so I went to go pick up this girl. Her name was Lavinia. I can say her name because I can. And I won't say her last name, but I will tell you this. Lavinia, who lives in Silver Lake. And, I pull up, and so I'm waiting. I'm like, looking around, and I see this, couple, a guy and a girl. They were talking on the street. Yeah. So I was like, whatever. I don't think that's them, because usually there's a little icon that shows up, and it wasn't anywhere near me. So I'm like, all right. So there was a car behind me because I was like on a one-way street. So I was like, well, shit, I'll just go on the block, right? Sometimes I just do that. And I hear like a faint voice go, we're here. And I'm like, so I don't pay attention, right? I look in my rearview mirror very strategically so they don't see me go like this, right?
Yeah, I've done that.
And so I went around the block and I came back and they're still there. There was no sense of urgency in them getting into the car, right? So I'm like, this is kind of weird. And meanwhile, the timer's going and it's about to time out. So here they come walking over. First of all, she never identified herself. They just tried to get in the car. And I'm like, oh, hi. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
And that's another thing too that I always have an issue. People just kind of they don't acknowledge you. They walk past you. It's the weirdest thing.
You're my private driver. Like you owe me. I paid for this, so come pick me up.
So instead of just being like, oh hi, before you get in the car, create a comfortable environment. Drivers are always given the short end of the stick, saying you didn't create an environment for me. Well, fuck you. It works both ways. You should do the same thing also too. So Lavinia, she tries to open the door. Yeah. And I, smartly, when I go, and you are? And she's me, you're here for me, right? Out of her mouth comes I thought I had a high-pitched voice, right? But the amount of nasalness going into her, everything she said, it was like she didn't even have a mouth. It was just like, it was all coming out of her nose. So I was like, oh, maybe she had a bad nose job, right? So I'm like, whatever. So I'm in the car. I'm like, oh, great. Nice to meet you, me. Trying to make a joke out of it. And so they get in the car and they go, we're waiting for one more. And so I knew that the boy behind me was gay. Yeah. Because he was this blonde, blue-eyed little twink who was just like,
I'm here with her.
Team America puppet. Right? And so then she's sitting there and she's doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, this is going to be really fun. She goes, we're waiting for one more. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm like, that's fine, no problem. I said, they have about 2 minutes left on the clock, right? Yeah. And so they don't say anything. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It's going to be one of those rides, a quiet one. And then she goes, can you pull up a little bit more so we can see the gate that she's going to come out of? And I was like, sure, no problem. So I pull up a little bit more, and then they're both staring at this gate that's attached to the apartment building. And then the guy goes, did you tell her that the car was here and blah, blah, blah. Then they began to have their own little internal conversation, right? Yeah. So she's like, but she never changed her cadence, her tone, anything, right? He whispered, right? And she goes, no, we told her, and I told her the car was here, right?
It's very Southern California.
Oh my God, it was like nails and a chalkboard. And I try to think, I'm like, do I sound like that?
No.
I think back in my life, I'm like, did I talk like that? Was I like, right? And then I'm just such a horrible person sometimes because I make fun of everybody. Nobody is safe. Don't think I'm coming after just Lavinia, okay?
Hey, you're the Mexican Matt Rife,
yeah, right? Brian's like, you are not. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to try to be. Yeah, I mentioned you, Brian. Got you back there. And so I think of these things because I'm like, wow, when I encounter people like that, I always wonder, did I ever act like that? Is that my voice? Right?
I mean, you do good impressions.
When I talk to people, do I go, hi, welcome to Uber? Do I sound like that? So, I get so so embarrassed sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, because I do have a high-pitched voice.
Yeah.
Because I never went through puberty ever. And, you know, I'm 65 years old and I still sound like I'm fucking 13 years old in the Brady Bunch. So all of a sudden the gate opens and out comes, well, I thought it was a dude. Right? But they kept saying she.
Yeah.
And of course, if it looks like a duck, it's a duck, right?
Yeah,
It's a duck. Like, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to poke fun at my community. So it walks over and gets into the car. And I'm not kidding you. Goes, hi. Thank you for waiting. Like in the deepest voice ever with this like long hair. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, she's in transition, right? Good for her, right? Good for her, girl. Get it. Work on that voice, girl. Work on that voice because there was nothing feminine about that voice at all whatsoever. In fact, Lavinia and her should have traded, okay? Lavinia and her should have traded. So
it's always jarring, huh?
So I say to Lavinia, I say, oh, if you'd like to get in the front seat, because the design on my car is, my Honda used to have the back seat. There was no hump.
Yeah.
You know that hump in the middle of the back seat, right? That kind of like separates the third and the fourth passenger. Well, I have a pretty prominent hump, not in my back, but in my car. And so it's kind of always uncomfortable if I have 4 passengers because then they have to kind of like,
squeeze
you know,
in
do
there,
like downward dog yoga pose in the middle. And then they get uncomfortable and start kicking the air conditioner. And there's things there. There's like a charger. There's like stuff there.
Yeah.
Right?
And it gets all dirty with their shoes.
It gets all dirty with their shoes. And they're like, so much fun, right? So I said, oh, one of you like to come and sit in the front? And immediately she's like, no. I'm so happy. I'm between my 2 favorites. I could not be happier. And I'm looking at them, and I literally, in the rearview mirror, just went, like my eyes, right? I was like, okay. And so she's like, oh, I'm an ally. I've been an ally for all of you guys forever. And this car's amazing because I'm an ally.
So June's really her month. It's really about her, right?
Oh my God, it was awful. And I guess they were nurses or something.
Oh, okay.
And she goes, so what about the new interns? She's like, I'm not really feeling them. Like, that's actually how she spoke.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine. I was like, oh my God, I was just counting down the minutes. I'm like, oh
Gotta get
my
these
God.
people
Oh my God. I was
out.
like running red lights. I was figuring out any way to get them to their destination, which was like Silver Lake Wine.
Ooh, he's fast.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
He got us here quickly.
Yeah, so it gets better. So then, like, you know, the one behind me is like, oh, you guys, thank you so much. I like, you know, like, we're going to Silver Lake Wines. And I'm like, oh my God. And then meanwhile, they're like, you're so funny. They kept using the word she. So I was like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. People call me she sometimes because of my voice. If I order at Jack in the Box, they're all, thank you, ma'am. Come to the window.
When I had my long hair at Target, I'd always be called, excuse me, ma'am, do you need help? And I'd turn around like, I'm not a chick. So I understand that.
Well, me, I don't really care. I'm like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. Do I get a discount, right? I'm going to use it to my advantage. Like, give me a discount. So anyway, so she's, you know, she's squawking in the back. And I'm just like, I've had it. I need an Excedrin. I'm about to kill myself and stab myself in the face.
You're like, so my last ride.
Yeah, seriously. And I was like, oh. So anyways, like, get them to the destination. And they're like, she's going back and forth. She talked the entire time.
Oh, yeah. She
and
sounds
it was
like it.
nails in the chalkboard. Nails in the chalkboard. And she's going, I'm an ally. And she like snuggled between the 2 guys in the back seat, right? Oh, I'm sorry. They, them. And then, you know, a gay guy. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just too much, right? Queer people. So she snuggled between 2 queer people, the community. That sounds so much better, by the way, just so you know.
It does.
So I'm like, oh my God. And she's, oh my God, they close early. And she's, well, maybe the driver will wait for us and take us somewhere else. And I go, oh, right away. I said, oh, I just accepted another ride. They're looking at me. They're like, you could tell in their eyes. They were like, well, we didn't see anything.
Yeah,
like, we didn't see you touch the phone, but I just lied. So on the way out, here's the crazy part, right? So, you know, if you're transitioning, you kind of have to remember that you have to present yourself differently.
Yeah.
In addition to shaving your Adam's apple, you have to kind of like be a little more demure. Yeah. Right?
You want them to play the part.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you want to be recognized as a they, them, whatever in transition, right? I'm not trying to change nobody, but literally, I'm not kidding you. When she got out of the car, not Lavinia, the other one.
The other one.
Slammed the door. Oh, shit. Hold on.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. So when I dropped them off,
Yeah.
they exited the vehicle. The transition person, she got out on this side. The other ones went out on the passenger's right-hand side, my right-hand side. And they closed the door, but the transition person literally went wham and slammed the door so hard that like I'm like the air, like I don't even have any hair, and the air went like this, and I went, oh my God. And even not the other gay kid that was in there, or the community queer guy, not Lavinia. Lavinia was already at the front door of the fucking bar.
blonde hair, blue eyed,
She
the
was
puppet.
like, yeah, the blonde hair, blue eyed puppet was like, he goes, oh my God. He's like, I'm so sorry. Like he apologized. And I'm like, that's crazy. Meanwhile, you know, the transition person, tranny, what do you call him? I don't know. You
Queer.
can't say tranny.
Queer.
I know. I grew up in the day when you could say that. So
And
sorry.
they had no problem with it, which is weird, but
I
now
know.
they do.
I know. And you're probably going to try to cancel me. But listen, if it didn't work for J-Lo, it's not going to work for me. And we'll talk about that more in a second. And so that's why I tell the Lavinia story, because to me, that is not an ally. That is someone that takes the opportunity to make it convenient for themselves to be a part of the community.
It's like being a part of something, yeah.
For that one moment.
Yes.
But meanwhile, they have nothing in their life,
No.
right? Sorry, Lavinia, you have nothing in your life.
I hear
'cause-
you.
Yeah. Whereas, I don't know if you heard Adele at her concert.
I saw that, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So that is a perfect example of an ally.
Yeah.
Because she took action.
Yeah.
In that moment when the concert theater goer, when she said about pride, happy pride, and then that person took it upon themselves to say, pride sucks.
Yeah.
I was like,
He made an ass of himself, which
he
is
kind of
perfect.
made an ass of himself.
Yeah.
And then, of course, people were like, oh, yeah, it does suck. And then, again, here comes the whole thing. Why do they get a whole month? The military needs to get a whole month. And by the way, the military does get a whole month. They get the whole month of May.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do your research before you start opening your fucking mouth. And speaking of opening your fucking mouth, we should talk about. Yeah, well, I should stop and say this. So I'm going to just always precursor it as I've never been political, but I'm going to become political now.
Oh, no.
I don't want to be like, because people are like, oh, if you're not like, if you say you're not political, you're ignorant because you're turning your eye to, I'm like, fuck yourself.
Well, what if we just don't want to talk about it because it's enough political bullshit out there that I'm personally tired of?
Well, I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. Listen, it's a historical, thing that just happened with Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump was, indicted, right?
I think he
I
was
don't know the
convicted of
proper-
all counts.
Well, he's going to appeal it, though, right?
Oh, yeah, he always can,
So
yeah.
34 counts, but I will tell you this: there were so many creative memes that were popping up out of it, and my favorite was the Sesame Street one where they had the counting. 1, 2, up to 34, and then
34
Trump's- yeah,
counts.
34 counts, Mr. Trump.
I didn't see that. That one's good.
It's really good. So, listen, I don't agree with Trump, some of his things, and I don't agree with some of Biden's things also, too. And then, by the way, hashtag, where's Kamala? Did they kidnap her?
The most useless VP of all time.
Where is she? I mean, a woman of color.
She's like a marionette puppet.
Yeah, she's like over opening up Chick-fil-A's.
Ay.
Cutting the ribbons. Like, I mean, what has she done?
Yeah.
So anyways, we could go on and on forever about both candidates. What I will say is, I mean, what do you think?
What do I think about the whole system?
Just about Trump getting in like the 34
You want to know my
counts.
real opinion? It doesn't matter.
I
It
agree.
does not matter. You want to know
agree.
why? Because people are still going to vote for him. And guess what? For the next 4 years, that's going to be our president. Now, beyond that, I don't know. The last time he was president, our Constitution did hold up. And that's kind of how it was placed and put together. But there are people out there that would love to change that. And we're still a young country. I mean, we haven't really had a dictatorship. It's kind of in the cards. When you look at history, every country has gone through that. And I feel like when other countries look at us, they kind of look down because we're like that teenager that really hasn't grown up yet. And, we could just kind of look to them and go, oh, yeah, that's very similar.
People don't know how good they have it
Yes.
until they no longer have it.
And that was going to be
we
my next
are-
point.
We are on the cusp
Yeah.
of not having it anymore.
Yeah, we're going to lose a lot.
We're gonna lose a lot.
Especially if there's like a civil war or anything like that. We're going to lose a lot more than people think, and then it's not going to be the country that we once had. And we're going to look back at these times and be like, man, we had it good, as you pointed out. And that's kind of where I'm at. I try not to think about it because I just want to enjoy the time that I have doing the show, enjoying the freedoms that I have now, because I don't know what the future holds and if I'll even be able to produce or be on or talk about these kind of topics without fear of my life or fear of being thrown in jail or anything like that, because that's kind of like where we're heading. And let me put this out there. It's on both sides. Whether you're blue, whether you're red, it's kind of going that way on both sides. And if you don't see that, well, I don't know what to tell you.
I think both men represent, racism. I think on both sides.
Yeah.
I think both men represent the demolition of democracy.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anyone that's better, to be perfectly honest. Again, where's Kamala? So, the sad part is I think as a nation, we lack the political organization to be able to go against the billionaires that finance these men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they force them upon us because that's why all the other ones dropped out. They just don't have the money.
Yeah.
That's what this is. Running for presidency has become.
All just money.
It's whoever has the most amount of money, whoever can raise the most amount, and then that keeps them in the running.
Yeah.
They're able to, go do what they need to do. I agree with you about Trump. This is not going to change anything.
No.
I think my personal opinion, I think we should have let him win. We should have let him win 4 years ago. I think
Then we'd be done with it.
Then we'd be done with it, right?
I agree.
We'd be done with it, and he wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to stew and think of changing the Constitution if he gets in. Because if he gets in, he wants to change the Constitution so that he can stay forever.
But you know that verdict is what had him win.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He already won.
He already won.
Because we've
and,
done that.
and there was no winning, because if he had won, then he would have said, this is why the judicial process works.
Yeah.
This is why the Democrats can't come after me, because this system has been put in place to protect people like me. I am innocent.
Yeah.
And then on the vice versa, he said, oh, well, this system was put in place by the Democrats.
Yeah.
The judicial system failed
Yeah.
because it didn't protect an innocent man.
And people buy all that shit, which
All
is
of it.
so wild to me.
They buy
But
all of it.
I want to point out this, because there was a lot of tweets about nobody is above the law on both sides, and every person I saw tweeting has some type of skeleton where they went above the law and the law failed, or I guess didn't fail, but kind of was positioned for them to get away with it. And it's all bullshit at the end of the day, and that's what really is sad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what's also bullshit?
What?
The fact that we have to cut this show so we can have something for tomorrow to talk about.
It's actually a good timing too.
So with that being said, we hope you tune in tomorrow. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Tell all your friends. We need more YouTube subscribers. Help us. Help me. Help me. Yeah, today was a little more subdued. Today was a little we're kind of uh-oh. These are falling out the trees. But I hope you enjoyed your walk. I hope you enjoyed whatever activity that you were partaking in. And with that being said, have a great rest of your evening, afternoon, and morning. And remember to listen to Do It Like Danny tomorrow.